I spent 1 year getting rejected from adjunct teaching positions, all because I was applying with the wrong documents. I had applied for university after university after university, and I kept receiving rejections, constant rejections, and I couldn't figure out why. I had the experience, had a PhD, graduated, I had the number of required hours to teach in that particular career or degree area, but I was getting denied. No one told me yes. And I couldn't figure out why. I was so devastated because I spent 16 years in school, undergrad, grad, and getting my PhD to only get rejected. I had worked for some of the greatest companies in the world: Coca-Cola, CNN, and Humana Insurance. And I couldn't even figure out why in the world I was getting rejected. Well, I'll tell you why. I'll keep this from dragging on. It's because I was applying with my resume. I didn't know. I literally was applying for every job with the same business resume that I got the jobs at Coca-Cola with, the jobs at Humana, the jobs at CNN. And I was using that same resume to apply for adjunct teaching jobs. And that only showed my career experience, nothing to do with my education. It just said Doctor. All I did was change the name, Dr. Latoya Hayden. Everything else remained the same. And I was getting rejected. And I was devastated. I couldn't figure out why. Rejection after rejection, constantly. I applied for a complete year until one of my friends said, "Girl, are you using a curriculum vitae?" And I was like, "What is that?" I couldn't figure out what that was. It was a document that is almost 8 to 10 pages long. You put your dissertation on there, you lead with your education, you still have your objective summary, but you also list all of the classes that you've taught, you've taken, everything. I didn't know that, plus your educational experience. I didn't know that. So that's why I was getting denied. So I thought about it, but me being me, I was still stubborn. I was like, I don't need that. They're going to pull my resume just based on the fact that they see these great names and that, hey, I took my resume and I didn't adjust anything, and I just went to the top and I put DR in front of my name, and at the bottom I listed when and where I graduated with my PhD. And I knew, to me, I thought that was enough. It wasn't. And it continued. So finally, I took the time to research a curriculum vitae. It was a lot of work. I had to list everything. It is so detailed. I was like, who does this? Can I find somebody to write this for me? What do I need to do? I couldn't find anybody. And I looked online and I saw kind of resumes that had been titled curriculum vitae, but I knew that if I wanted to get into academia, that I needed to take the time to figure out how to create a curriculum vitae that will get me those calls back. So I continued to research. I searched Google like crazy trying to find information. I asked other colleagues that I had graduated with if they had a curriculum vitae. They sent me theirs. A friend of mine sent me a template, and I just looked at it. I was like, this takes way more time than a curriculum vitae. Like, really? I mean, than a resume. Like, really? This is what they're looking for? So I looked at it, I compared examples by what my other colleagues had sent me, and I started building my own curriculum vitae, line by line. And I realized that it's so much more detail that is required. Like, what career experience do you have? What educational experience do you have? What sets you apart? I had to list my courses that I've taken, my dissertation title, and when my degree was conferred, all of that. I didn't know. And the thing was pages and pages and pages long. But you know what? It worked, and it continued to work. So, but I had to work at it. I had to figure out, okay, what goes first? Do I lead with education? Do I lead with my career experience? Like, I was confused. I just kept building and building and building and adjusting as I go. But as I did that, I learned something about myself. I learned that my resilience and my tenacity and my self determination is what's going to push me forward. So I kept working on it. I kept researching, like, what is an actual curriculum vitae look like? I didn't know. Nobody told me. So I kept looking. I put this document together. It came out to be 13 pages, and I started sending it out. And I sent it out multiple times. I still got rejections, but eventually it started to work. People started calling me. People started, schools, colleges, and universities started scheduling interviews with me. And I figured out, I was like, oh, this is what you were looking for. And people would call and they were like, I was really impressed by your curriculum vitae. The same thing they used to say about my resume. And I was like, really? I didn't even know what to do. And I didn't tell them that, but I just was like, okay, cool. You want to schedule an interview? Let's do it. But because I took the time to research it and really put my time into it, I have worked at over, let's guess, about 20 colleges and universities where I've spoke, I've wrote curriculum, I've done various things just based on having that curriculum vitae. But if I didn't have that, I would not have gotten my first job. So if you are, if you have a master's degree and you have 18 hours in a career field, we'll talk about that later on. I'll do another video on that. Or if you have a PhD and you have 18 hours in your graduate program, credential in your graduate degree program, then get your curriculum vitae together. That is what's going to get you the job. That is what's going to push you forward to the next level in your career. So, with that being said, I worked on it, I put it together, I edited it, and I made changes as I went along, and it worked. I got teaching job after teaching job after teaching job. But what I learned was your resume is not going to cut it. So if you're applying with your resume and you think, okay, my resume and my experience is going to get me this job, it's not. I applied at school after school and I got rejection after rejection, not because I wasn't qualified. It was because I didn't have the right documentation. So what I did, I went back and applied at some of those schools and I got the position. I got the job and I've been there for years. And because of that, I dedicated the time to making sure that my curriculum vitae was just like my resume. If I submit that, then you're going to see it. You're going to see it. You're going to want to call me because I have something to offer. And I worked on that. I worked on how to interview for academic positions and all of the things that you need. But the key point is get your curriculum vitae together. That's what's going to take you over the top, and that's what's going to put you ahead of those that are applying with their resume, because a lot of people apply with their resume and they're getting denied. If that's you, I have created a starter kit that's linked down below, and it gives you some tips and tricks on how to use how to create a curriculum vitae. I also have a toolkit that I have linked below. If you're interested, click the links and see if I can offer you some information or provide some information for you if you're feeling stuck with on your when applying for a job in academia because of your resume. Don't be the one that keeps applying with your resume. Be the one that stands out and applies with their curriculum vitae. Thank you so much. See you next time.